I'm just glad that intro is not as long as Bill's writers meetings. William Russell, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dustin Quinter.
We've been threatening to do this for a while. You did go smash your heads. We had to wait like a year, right? So
yeah, it's been about a year. We've been talking about. I mean, since my head injury. I mean, we've been talking about this forever, right? So.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So a little bit of background. I've known Bill now for 15, 16 years, something like that.
2011.
Yeah.
Whenever that was.
It's like, yeah, a minute ago. We're not really we ride motorcycles. We're not good at math. Clearly we're not good at math. But yeah, like I remember first meeting you, and you came to Chuckwalla with a couple other novice guys or whatever, and you had this ESP stickered up R6, and I don't remember any of the bolts matching. Like you had gone to Home Depot, or whoever put that bike together had gone to Home Depot, the race department. You know, it's like aisle 37. I don't know, right?
Aisle 46.
Oh, it was aisle 46 for your. Oh, okay, yeah.
They
do things different in Vegas, right?
Times. That was before then. Yeah. But dude, I raced that bike pretty much exactly as I got it. I spent all the money on the engine because that's what you do when you're a novice.
Yeah. Yeah, instead of spending it all where it belongs, like tires and track time.
And matching bolts. You know, don't worry, Stern busted my balls about that years later, so.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe not much.
Dude, like, if I brought my bike to the shop and it had, like, I'm tempted to do it with mismatched bolts just so Richard give me shit about it.
He would give you the most shit, too, because you know better, like, times.
Oh, totally, dude, totally. Yeah, so like you had that kind of clapped out R6, and you had some buddies. Truthfully, those guys, I don't think most of the guys that you started with were racing. Same here. Somehow, some way, you got sucked into the sport, and you're still getting it done, kind of, right? So,
kind of. We're planning the return to the track. I mean, I'm back on track already, coaching, doing stuff with Apex. You know. Kind of per standard, but
I figured because you got all this pink stuff on and a pink jersey in the background. So
I mean, this just happened to be the shirt I grabbed. You know, it was on top.
Yeah,
and I knew you'd be wearing black, so I had to mix it up.
Well, I mean, this kind of charcoal gray kind of colored. Actually, it's not really black.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've been at this for a while. Like, how, you know, you've kind of got sucked into the sport. You're one of the few dumb people that sticks around in racing past that attrition 3 years and out kind of thing. I know that you've raced just about everywhere on the West Coast. You know, Utah, Chuckwalla, raced at Buttonwillow. Fuck, I don't know. Did you race at Thunder Hill and Laguna?
No, Laguna is the only like NorCal track. Haven't raced at Buffalo, haven't raced at Thunder Hill. A lot of stuff in Arizona, a lot of stuff in New Mexico.
Oh, you threatened to race at Buttonwillow and then didn't.
Yeah. I'm a big bullshitter.
Yeah. So you've been around. Did you race the Colorado track too?
No, I never had time to do that with the boys. It's on the list to go up to do the High Plains Endurance with MRA. Or was it Legion Motos doing endurance?
Yeah, Cooper.
Dude, those guys, what a
killing it, dude. I fucking love that guy.
If you could take Apex Assassins and like make carbon copies and then create another Trackday organization, that's basically what Cooper did.
Oh, okay.
And like all those guys,
I say the same thing about all of you guys.
Which is, I'll take that as a compliment.
I mean, you know, I've been around for longer than any of us.
You've been around forever. You're more than the old
part of the furniture. Yeah. So, you know, you've been this guy. You've been the grassroots guy. I've seen you crew chiefing for dudes at the nationals. I've seen you coaching guy. Like, how how did you get this started? Also, you know what? I want to talk about your name too, because when I met you and it was introduced to you, I was introduced to you as Bill.
Yes. So we'll start with the name.
Yeah.
And then we'll start to the genesis of it all, if you will. So yeah, when I moved to Arizona, I mean, it was professionally, I was Bill Russell. My dad is Big Bill. And then I was at
that
Spring.
Make you Little Bill?
I was Little Bill, still Little Bill. It's just the way it works. And I was at Spring Mountain with Track Experience, and Joe Solis and I had become really good friends. And he was there shooting, and just like out of nowhere, I'm walking across the paddock, and he sees me from like 20, 30 feet away, and he just yells across the paddock. He goes, "You're not a Bill, you're a Will." And then so he started it.
Okay.
And it kind of stuck. So it's kind of like, and that was when I just moved to Las Vegas. So a little bit of maybe an identity problem. Maybe I didn't know who I was. I did a little name change legally, officially, unofficially.
Okay.
And then just started introducing myself as Will or William. And then like when my parents come out, I'm like, I'm Billy to them.
Oh,
yeah.
I've called you Billy as well.
There's people the OGs at work call me Billy, and it throws everybody for a loop.
Yeah. Dude, I was at Chuck Walla calling you Bill for years, for like more than a decade. I leave, and then I come back to like another event, and everybody's calling you William. I'm like, who the fuck is William?
Instead of level up, dude, you got to go professional sometimes, right?
If you say so.
The air of professionalism.
Right.
You know, it's like matching bolts in your motorcycle.
Well, there's a little bit of that on the national circuit right now, right? Like when Bryce, started using his actual last name in the races, a lot of people were like, why did he change his name? Yeah. Not realizing that he never changed his last name. He just started using his real last name. Right?
Which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, a little bit of background for me, like, I was in a similar situation to Bryce growing up. So, for most of my grade school type years, dude, I rocked my mom's husband's last name for years. And then once that dude punched out, man, it was like, oh, who's this Coiner guy? Right. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So Bryce, the Prince last name was his stepdad's name. So there you go.
There it is. There's a little tidbit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. Like, I got to go all the way back to Vermont for like the beginning of all this.
Vermont.
So, long story short, that's where I'm from. That's where I grew up. And that's really where I started riding motorcycles. So, like, circa 2005, my best friend at the time got a wild hair across his ass and joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And like, hey, dude, you want to buy my motorcycle? It was a 2001 R6.
Okay.
And wherever he got it from, they painted it like Lamborghini yellow, and then powder coated every piece of metal on that bike white. So it was a white frame, white wheel.
Was it an old Gil Ramos bike then?
Right? There's a name I haven't heard forever, dude. Gil, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a guy.
By the way, Findley's in the chat. Just a heads up.
Let's go, baby. Bring the crew together.
I'm trying to ignore the comments.
It's going to get wild now.
I'll get to them later.
Yeah, especially from old
Say all the crap you want about this guy in the comments. I will get to them like Ron Burgundy, I promise.
Yeah, so that was my first motorcycle. Helmet, gloves, jacket. Everything was matching. I had an extra large HJC, and the first time I went down the freeway and head checked, that thing blew sideways on my face. It scared the shit out of me.
Oh, so you put the helmet on, and it was like quite a bit bigger than you needed?
Yeah, I'm a medium,
and it was XL.
Large, but you don't know what you don't know, right? Yeah, did you die? No, everything was fine, and I didn't mess up this beautiful face back then. Anyway, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But that was like my first bike, and I hid it from my parents in the lawnmower shed for like 3 weeks. And And my mom, when she found out, because I was living at home when I was going to college, so I was like right in the middle of my college career, 2005, 2006.
You weren't in Air Force yet.
Huh?
You weren't Air Force in it yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Really? Okay.
So, yeah, my mom basically, she was like, "Hey, if you're gonna ride a motorcycle, you got to promise me you got to wear like good gear." And then I'm like, "All right." So all the gear all the time, and then I ended up meeting this dude, Michael Doc Lemire. He was a Green Knights member with the Army National Guard. Met him on the New England Street Riders Forum. So shout out to NESR and all the boys back east. Back in the forum days before Facebook and fucking Instagram. Anyway,
yeah, when social media was building a profile on the forum.
Yeah, chat rooms. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Like that guy's only got 13 posts. Like, what does he know?
Nothing. But yeah, so me and Doc hooked up and ended up starting a bike night every Tuesday night at Donnie's Pizza, and he was an amateur racer at Loudon Motor Speedway with the Loudon Road Racing Series back in the day. And so, in a couple of buddies, he was like, "Dude, you guys got to come out to the track." And he was the old man. We were the young pups. Like, what did he know? We would rather go tear it up on the streets. We had I wouldn't call it a secret, but there was a stretch of road in Mariah, New York. It was like a 2-hour drive from Burlington. And it was 8 to 10 miles long, no houses, no side streets. And it was pure, beautiful, unadulterated pavement. And that's where we would go. That was our racetrack, right? So that was like our Ortega Highway or Palomar Mountain or, wherever you went and ripped it.
Or in Kansas City, the Cloverleaf Business Park.
Or in Phoenix, the airport run. Yeah, dude, we go out there, drag knees, think we were cool. And then finally got pulled to the racetrack. And that's really where it started. I moved. So like Tony's Trackdays, Boston Moto, man, Kit Corella, Degsy and the boys. I mean, and that's Alex and Jen. So they were racing out there. Back
Dunstan?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, he was racing a Supermoto 450, and he had just come off of a Honda Hawk 650, I think, back then. And Jen was doing all the vintage stuff with her dad.
Okay.
Yeah, and then those two got together. And dude, Alex was one of those guys out there. He was an idol. I mean, he was everything. I mean, he was connected. He was working with Ducati, working with Monster, and he was just like
being the Monster guy.
Yeah, and he was but at the racetrack, he was just down to earth. He's one of the guys. So that's where I cut my teeth. I got 3 or 4 track days at Loudon, a couple of track days in Jersey when they first opened in 2009.
No way.
I had a Colin Edwards edition Aprilia RSVR Miele.
Okay.
Miele R. And that was my track bike.
Yeah.
So 1 out of 50. What could go wrong?
Nothing.
Definitely didn't crash it in turn 6 at Loudon and bend a front wheel.
Definitely didn't do that?
Definitely didn't do that. It's very specific.
Yeah.
That's where I learned not to eat a big lunch during a track day, because when you go back out in that first session and you just hoover down a giant peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
So, you know what? I learned that from Danny Farnsworth in New Racer School, like a quarter century ago. More than a quarter century ago. Yeah, Farnsworth was like, don't eat, and he was talking more of like, because if you crash, you'll end up shitting your pants.
Oh God.
Right? Like, dude, he had us, the New Racer School guy, Farnsworth, had us so worried that we were either going to shit our pants, piss our pants, or bite our tongue off. Like one of those 3.
Dude, what a way to corral the young guys from being idiots. Nobody wants to poop their pants.
Nobody wants to. No, everybody does at some point.
Yeah, just hopefully not at the racetrack.
Hopefully not on the racetrack.
Gross.
Like
Yeah, dude,
the med crew cuts the leathers off, and they're like, "Oh."
I would just leave him out there. Leave him out there. He's gone.
Yeah, dude, you can marinate out there, bro.
He gone. See ya.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I kind of cut my teeth, and then I moved to Arizona in 2010. Moved to Tucson, and I reached out on the forums. I was just like, "Hey, where should I go?" You know, I had some great shops in Vermont.
Yeah.
Knew some really great people, some great connections, and now they're like, "Find ESP." I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "What's ESP?" They're like, "Don't ask questions. Just go find that shop. It's the only place you need to do if motorcycle related when you get to Tucson." So
Yeah,
that's what I did. I found Evan Steel Performance ESP, in like this dingy rundown shop on the like industrial side of town, like a dirt floor. It looked like Pops Yoshimura's old shop.
oh shit.
But yeah, I went in there and there was this like middle-aged white dude, Tony Scott. He's like, "Hey man, how's it going? What do you need?" And we actually ran into him out in Atlanta, me and Mike, when we went and raced the first round this season.
Dude, I didn't see Tony Scott. Bummer.
He only came out on Sunday, but
is he one of the guys? I don't remember. Did I make that guy turn a sandbag in? I forget.
Yeah, I know it was Shane. Tony might have got the sandbag, but dude, Tony was like the Maverick Vinales, bro. He would smash during a track day, like untouchable during a track day. And then when it came to race, and he wasn't a slouch when he raced, he just couldn't match the pace. Got excited. And
dude, just a heads up, like your buddies are having a good time in the chat. You want to touch some of that stuff real quick?
Yo, reach out.
All right. So we got some Finley stuff, and he says Josh Ferrer.
Yeah, Ferrer.
He's like, "No coffee, Will? What do hell?" He said, "What do hell?
What the hell?
What the hell?" Okay. And then Finley's like, he doesn't even have a cigar. I think it's just AI. It's not the real Will. Man, no, dude, I'm talking to Bill. Will's on another channel, bro.
It's too friggin' hot out, man. I mean, we would have done this outside with a cigar without a doubt.
Yeah,
it's fucking hot out. It was like
Bishop's saying that. He said if it wasn't 105 degrees outside, he'd be outside with a cigar for sure.
I almost grabbed one just to have it like a prop, but I'm not a poser like that.
And then Pettis, dude, I've seen Pettis at Podium Club.
Dude, that kid rides.
Oh yeah, bro. And he was asking if they make a shirt like that in adult size.
I've been doing a lot of push-ups.
Dude, I cut that out of the video. I didn't post that, so that's your friends.
That's funny, dude. That's funny because you did make mention in the unedited version of shopping at Baby Gap.
Shopping at Baby Gap. Exactly.
Dude, thanks for the compliments, dude. That's very nice.
Yeah. That's this show, man. Yeah, okay.
Well, dude, that's how those guys talk to me all the time. We got to keep.
Oh, dude, that's how all of our friends talk to us. Like, that's because we're grown-ass men and we don't get offended by crap because we race motorcycles, and that's, we pee standing up, I guess. I don't know. Well, some of us. I know. I did see Aliki in the chat as well, so she doesn't pee standing up.
I wouldn't be surprised if
she does.
She did though, because Aliki's a G.
I mean, she would improvise something probably. But so you moved to Tucson, you hook up with ESP. Like, what was it that led you to go to Chuckwalla and try club racing?
You.
What?
Almost you. You definitely had
almost me.
Play. Dude, so get my race license in 2011 in April out at Indy Motorsports Ranch.
Okay.
Which is still probably my top West Coast racetrack. Because it's just so near and dear to me. Got a lot of laps around there. But yeah, I did my new racer school at Indy, got my license, and then that following year they closed down Road Race Southwest. So CCS Southwest closed their doors.
Yeah.
And they just kind of the management or the owners went and retired and did their own thing. And then the remnants of the whole clubs, that was like Trackdays. And road racing in Arizona is an interesting thing. We tried it from I think 2014 to 2017 with Desert Road Racing and Jason Citron and the crew. But a lot of the Arizona riders, they just want to do track days and look pretty and go slow. And I'll say that there's some incredible riders that race. The racers, the real racers out of Arizona are no joke.
Yeah,
they fuck. But the vast majority of your track day, your sport bike riders in Arizona, they want to hang out. And
I mean, I've been out there on a stock R1. I know.
Each to their own, and they got Podium Club at Tessa, which is really, really coming along. That's a great racetrack where they're putting together a really strong community again. So Road Race Southwest closed down and we didn't have a place to race. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, that was the year after CVMA's inaugural season.
Okay.
So we came back out so that would have been like the 2012 ish, because it was like a double point season, because that's when they finished the regular.
We decided to make it,
and then that was the winter series as well, and it all kind of blurred into one.
Yeah.
But when we made the decision, it was like me, James Romero, Shane Kamstra, Tony Scott, and a couple other guys.
Lenny Beckman.
Oh yeah, Lenny. He wasn't part of our crew, but Lenny was definitely out there on that.
Yeah.
LER1.
That's right.
Super cool, dude. And there was a bunch of other guys that came out too. A bunch of the Arroyo guys, the ASMA guys came out every now and then. But so we rolled out there, and I don't what we were talking about the forum. Is it like the SoCal?
I don't know which forum. It might have been SoCal Sport Bikes, maybe, or.
But there was like a CVMA subgroup, and you were like the guy.
I don't remember.
Anyway, I reached out to you directly on the forum, bro. I reached out to you directly on the forum, and we were talking, and you were like, well, tell me how good you are, basically. It's like, how was your amateur season? And I was like, well, I've basically been on the podium the whole time. And you were like, bump to expert.
Yeah.
I'm like, bump to expert. Like,
I think I included don't be a pussy in there. And then I said bump to expert.
Probably. I think I did one event at Chuckwalla. I was on a Ducati 848 that I rented with Take It to the Track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take It to the Track. Wow, dude.
Dude, there's gonna be a lot of throwbacks in this.
Yeah, dude.
Take It to the Track at CVMA. I can't remember who it was. Like, I can't remember who the name of the company was, but I rented a Ducati. Oh, I wanted a Gixxer 600, and he called me up and he goes, "Hey man, all of our Japanese sport bikes are rented for some big SoCal event. All I have are Ducatis." I was like, darn. Yeah, I've never, at that time I was still infatuated with.
They're like sport bike rentals.
Extreme sport bike rentals.
That sounds right. That sounds because back then everything was extreme, right? Yeah. No fear stickers, all that, dude.
Oh man. So that was like the only time I'd been out to Chuckwalla was like 2010, and a year and a half later, I get in touch with you, and you're like, well, let's bump you up to expert. And where I came from at Loudon, there's 3 classes. So you're a novice, amateur, and expert, and you got to cut your teeth, like legit. You have to prove yourself to get up to the white and black.
Right.
And you're like, hey man, I mean, you sound like you're pretty good. Like, come out here and see what it's about, play with the big boys. And
yeah, dude.
And I did. I was like,
you did. You jumped in the deep end for sure.
And then the end of that first weekend, man, I'm forgetting the kid's name. He was like 16 at the time.
Our 6th kid?
Yeah, just started racing AMA. He passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh, was it Aquino?
No, that was He was he fell down off this like the side of the hill doing mountain bike stuff at like Laguna Beach.
Oh, Aguilar.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you, Jason Aguilar. So I was chasing him, and I couldn't believe it. And then I ended up in the middleweight shootout. And then I low sided coming out of turn 15. I low sided.
So just a heads up, when you see Bill kind of do this,
buffering.
We're just gonna call that buffering. We'll get to the why in a little bit, but
yeah,
it's pretty crazy that season started off and we had, dude, Aguilar was sponsored, if I'm not mistaken. Aguilar was in a group with that group of kids, the outlaw kids, right?
Yeah.
All, like Mookie Wilkerson, who's still racing and has outlaw racing still to this day. But Mookie had scored a really cool sponsorship for that program to bring up kids into the program. So, dude, he had Will and Jada Pinkett Smith sponsoring their whole thing, dude. It was kind of badass. So,
and he had some good riders too. Like, it was a really cool program.
Yeah, it was like him and Truslow and what's that kid from Arizona that ended up? Horvath.
Yeah, dude. Right? What a great family too.
Yeah. So there's all those kids. I can't remember if Linders was part of that or not. Yeah, it all blends together, man.
Yeah, and yeah. But that was my first taste of CVMA on that clapped out R6 number 225. And I picked the tail number of my F-16, so I was an F-16 crew chief with the Arizona Air National Guard. And my it was pretty rad. My plane was 1225, and so my race number was 225. And
okay,
yeah,
that's awesome.
We'll keep like an underlying race number theme, because I think we got to talk about how I ended up with 46 at some point.
Yeah,
but
well, I mean, so how do you think you made it past the attrition window? It's in and out in 3, right? You do track days for a year, you get 1 novice, 1 expert, and you're done. Like, how did you make it
to the expert season, right? Like, most people quit before you even get there. For me, I think it was a leadership thing. So motorcycles, for me, right from the very beginning, I had some really good mentors, like right off the bat, that taught me about counter steering and how a tire works, and how to steer the bike properly and not just be a goober out there, and get your feet off, get your feet on the balls of the balls of your
Some might say you weren't listening.
I didn't say anything about not crashing.
Yeah. Okay.
But just kind of like how to do it right. And then being involved with like a bike night, and we sponsored group rides, we sponsored track events, we had a bike show. So I think it was the leadership side of things. As soon as I got to Arizona, I immediately tried to be more involved with Trackday companies. So I had a brief stint with Excel. Personality conflicts really wasn't a good fit for me. And then ended up with Charlie Quiros at Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, which is the supermoto track out there.
Okay.
So the Tucson Sport Rider Group, I get Tony and I, are doing street stuff, kind of plugged into the local scene with Evan Steele Performance. And Tony was like, hey, dude, like, we're running a track day, or Tucson Sport Bikes is running a track day out of the go-kart track. And I was like, you guys are full of shit that you're riding full-size motorcycles on a friggin' go-kart. I'm like, I got to go out there and see this car wreck of an event. Like, there's no way. Yeah. So, and it was. So
it's like Australian Superbike.
Yeah, mate. So I go out there, dude. I got my leathers, my bike's in the back of the truck. Everyone else rode their motorcycle out to the track. I'm the only one with a dedicated track motorcycle. And then Charlie's handing out knee pads to people, like construction worker knee pads.
Shut up.
and then it starts raining.
Okay.
So lo and behold, I think I'm on a set of the original like Q3 Dunlops before the Q3 Plus. So I'm on a set of Q3s. and Charlie and I are the only ones on track, and everybody else was going to leave. But then there's like probably 15 or 20 people. But Charlie and I are out there dancing in the rain with each other. He's on his supermoto, and I'm on my R6, and we're just having a grand old time, just riding in the rain. And it's like 10 o'clock at night. The lights are on. It was one of the coolest experiences. And so after it was all said and done, Charlie and I started talking. I was like, listen, man, I know that you have insurance and, you have people sign a liability waiver, but you can't be having people wearing construction worker knee pads as like to drag me on a racetrack, my guy. So he put me in charge. I volunteered or created a sport bike track day program at Musselman Honda Circuit. So that went on, I think, for like 3 or 4 years. With me, we ended up doing like time attack stuff. We rode under the lights. I ended up spending a lot of time hanging out with Jake Holden in the off season when he moved to Phoenix.
Yeah.
So did a lot of like supermoto stuff with Jake Holden. It was a really fun time. And so that's where I kind of built up my chops and then really, really fell in love with the sport. So if I wasn't racing and riding at Chuckwalla, we were racing like every weekend at Musselman. And then we got plugged in with Indy Motorsports Ranch. So John Cartwright and Mike Bartz, who probably still hate me to this day because I was such a freeloader and mooch. I would just roll out there and be like, oh, well, the members invited me. And I'm like, dude, it's okay. It's $200 a day. I was like, sweet, go talk to that guy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's standard operating procedure when you're coming out, right?
Well,
Try to score as many free track days as possible.
Takeoffs are expensive.
Takeoffs are expensive.
But dude, making it past the attrition rate, I mean, I think it was because the leadership opportunities. And bro, I'm a maniac for this shit. I'm obsessed. Like, I'm still obsessed. Like the conversation, that's been happening in this house the last 3 nights, very stressful, but they're all around like, how can I get back to the racetrack?
Yeah.
Competitively with some of the decisions that we've made, my wife and I, Angelique, what Richard and I are talking about and what's in the garage and trying to make things come back together. But I think that's really what it is. It's, like you and I both, we have really a deep, deep love to this.
Totally. I'll tell you, like, I'm kind of done club racing. Thanks a lot, Go. Appreciate that. So like club racing for me racing's kind of over for me. Maybe not, but like I just can't put myself where I want to be anymore. So, but I also raced for like for a quarter century, right? So I'm like, the further I get away from it, the less important it is to me.
Well, you gotta have that drive too for it, man. And like once you use it, and you and I were both like I would say like pretty damn good club racers.
Yeah.
Like, we were definitely at the tip of the spear. We weren't battling for championships, but we weren't fucking slouches either.
Were we not battling? We were not battling for championships, but
you had a couple.
I had a bunch of championships.
Well, Formula 40 doesn't count.
No, but Open Super Sport does.
Yeah. No, I had to buffer a little bit and go back.
Yeah. Well, you could go way back to 20 years ago too.
Before I knew you and rode with you. But dude, no bullshit. I mean, you were the guy for a couple of years at Chuckwalla. You had a great motorcycle. When you jumped up to the R1 is like when things really started to click.
Dude, the R1, it was like I had a hard time with it. Stamboli still gives me shit about it because I was like, man, fuck this thing. I'm out of here. Like, I'm total puss or whatever. I don't know. Call me whatever. I don't care. Like,
yeah, but your R6 scared you fucking more than your R1 did.
Oh no, well, no, not initially. But yeah, like I was dumb and I had Joseph build me like just a crazy R6 and I didn't realize
Joseph, that's another one, man.
I didn't realize what that would do to the chassis. So the thing was a missile, but then it was like also doing bad shit that I wasn't prepared for. So, the R1 experience when I first got on it, it was just that it made so much power that I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like this thing's trying to kill me every corner exit. It's trying to flip over backwards. Like, and Richard's like, let me see what you got here. And he pulls that up and he's like, well, no wonder, dumbass. And he's like, here, let me load in the map that we developed for Heron. Boom. The torque maps and all that. And all of a sudden the bike was like money. I felt like for a while there anyway, until I broke my back, I felt like I could do whatever I wanted on that thing.
You went well on that thing, that's for sure. You went really well. And that's dude, that's when I first met Fuzzy, because he was working with you. I think where I started to connect with him.
Yeah.
Because he was always fussing with the. I always remember him fussing with the rear shock, and I'd walk by and be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
He would just tell me, Yeah. And I think that's what's cool about Fuzzy.
Well, he was fixing my melting ice cream sandwich, is what he was doing,
But he also wasn't trying to, and I don't know if it was just me because he knew that you and I were buds, but he wouldn't like try to fucking sugarcoat it or keep secrets. And it's like, this is suspension and this is what it does. Like, it's not.
We're just pushing oil through a hole.
It's not magic, dude. Like some of these other clowns trying to make it seem like.
Yeah. Rocket science. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, right now for me too, bro, like club racing. I mean, we've kind of been talking about it internally, and I don't want to spill anybody else's dirty laundry, but I don't know. I was over Chuckwalla like 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just, I think for a number of different reasons, but I want to have fun.
Okay.
Like if I want to, and I've been there and done that with pro nationals. Like if I want to grit up and take things like legitimately seriously, not that I've never not taken racing seriously, but first and foremost, right, none of us are getting paid to do this shit. So I want to have at least a semblance of a good time.
Right.
And the guys that are coming out to Chuckwalla are all pros, which next season, I guess they're making a pro class, which technically I would have to register for anyway as a licensed pro racer. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It got too serious. It stopped being fun. The paddock stopped being fun. And I think, and also like we all have a timeline. And I think I've just been at Chuckwalla for too long. I really want to get back to Utah. I really want to get back to Arizona, be in the paddock with like family, people that you show up and, they give you big, big hugs. And it's like, we haven't seen each other in 3 or 4 years or longer, but it's like we saw each other yesterday.
Oh, and totally. Yeah.
There's so much of that in Utah. And we've got a great presence up there too as a team. Anthony, Lugnut was really, really over the last 4 years now, 2019-ish, has really put a lot of work into helping that club be where it's at. Obviously a lot of people have, but I think Anthony has been like, he's been after it.
Anthony's kind of picked up where Oleg left off in that club, right?
I would say so, yeah. And Jerry Hicks too. I mean, that guy was still Jerry and Childry. Like, there's some riders up there. I mean, Ian and Ryan with Dunlop. What's the name of their shop? Ian Richardson, Ryan Richardson.
Oh yeah. Those guys. I forget what the name of their shop is, but yeah.
Horrible plugs for them, but everybody knows.
Yeah.
But
Trackstar. Thanks, Barry.
Yeah.
I rate Barry's in the chat too, by the way. So.
Hell
yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the shit show.
Oh yeah.
But it's like all those times where I've dragged like Richard Finley down to the old Firebird track to race with Arroyo, and he goes, "Brother, what did you bring me to? Not just the racetrack, but like, who's this club?" I'm like, "Brother, this is good old fashioned down home road racing, bro. Like, you will not find any better people, And I love Roger, man, and what he's done for all of these years. I wish Arroyo wasn't 13 and a half hours away. I'd be there all the time.
Right.
That is another track that holds a special place in my heart. It's like the Loudon of the West Coast.
You know, to me, like I'm excited about the potential for the future because Willow Springs was sold, right? And the new owners seem like they're switched on, dude. Like,
oh, I'm
what would
excited
happen if those guys brought WSFC back or something, you know? You want to talk about what all that stuff that you said fits the description of what I think of WSFC, you know? So,
yeah, I mean, and I didn't get to experience any of that. That was before my time on the West Coast.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. And, you know, I actually spent a summer, like the summer before we started CVMA, like I went and did the 4-hour out in Colorado. And dude, when I went to MRA in Colorado, I mean, Turpin was there. He was like, he was Shade, right? Like
guy.
He was like the giant cartoon talking crap at the writers meeting, like super fun. And, you know, everybody there, like I felt welcome there. And I felt that it was like you were saying about Chuck Walla now, where it's like super serious and it's not really like, it's like pro now. That's what I was saying about MRA, the opposite of that, you know, where, dude, these guys aren't even really taking it serious. They're just camping, you know, like I came home and I was like, dude, this is what we have to do. So like, I'm on the phone with Gugis because Gugis did the whole thing, the 4-hour thing too. And then I was on the phone with Mickey. Next thing I know, I was meeting up with Mickey in the middle of the desert at his office, like somewhere in Palm Springs area, whatever that is, Indio, whatever. And, you know, we're talking and I was like, Mickey, we got to fucking do this, bro. And he's like, write me a pro forma. So Gugis and I go, we write a pro forma. It's a bullshit, basically. Give that to him. And he's like, okay, let's do it. And they funded the whole thing, you know? And it was up to us to kind of build our little 1-page rule book that became the whatever 40 pages now or whatever it is. And yeah, let's take everything we like about club racing and throw away everything else. And let's qualify for grid position. What a tall order that was. Right.
Dude, and I'll tell you what, like full class qualifying as well, you know, something that I'd never seen or experienced even when I was like a track day guy back east. You know, it's like you only qualified for the money race or the big race, whatever it was, Superbikes. And like that was one of the big things for me that made Chuck Walla, like the OG CVMA, what it was.
Yeah.
And we
you can't forget the team low budget barbecues.
Dude, the barbecues, I mean, I usually would go to bed, but you know, the shenanigans, you know, after midnight shenanigans, Brian Short, and when Josh was, you know, before he got married, I think, and man, like the old 250 crew with Shane and
Jonathan Hong,
Matt and Sophia, you know, when they were just dipping toes in, oh my God.
You're getting awakened at 6:30 in the morning by a certain Ninja 250 crew. Yeah.
I would have temptations about that. I was
dude, none of that compares to being pitted next to George Beavers at Willow. And he would start his old GS in the morning with his megaphones. So there's that. Will's just here. By the way, Will's just here to make the conversation last as long as possible.
Let's go. Hey, let's skip ahead to that. It's 27 minutes on the money every single time.
Your writers meeting?
The best writers meeting on the West Coast, hands down, no question about it.
That's a bold statement when you're talking to me, sir.
It's better than yours.
If you say so.
Hey, I got a lot of OGs, best writers meeting ever, dude, and they'd slap me on the ass, and I was like, all right, well,
you know,
my dad, so
surround yourself with yes men. That's cool. Yeah. So there's some more comments, and Irie Perry says this is the best shit show ever. Max Wrist is reminding us that CRA is racing at Buttonwood next weekend.
Thanks, Max.
Yeah, dude, he's actually ripping. Dude, like that guy's crazy.
So I've heard.
Dude, he's like ripping. Like it's shocking, you know. Yeah, let's see. I have footage of the famous hour and a half. No, I'm just kidding. Josh Ferrer says he's got footage of you doing the writers' meeting.
Marcus Jackson, 27 minutes.
Marcus Jackson's talking about the barbecues being amazing.
Yeah.
And John Righty's talking about his smoked mac and cheese. John Righty, buddy, love you, but your mac and cheese, as good as it is, it's not nearly what Anton's chicken fried rice was, right? And the Korean barbecue.
Dude, the Korean barbecue, man. That was my first. I'm a white boy from Vermont, right? I don't know what Korean short ribs are. And so I go out there and Brown Man just hands me a plate, you know? And, you know, I'm like, what is this? This is the best meat I've ever had. And he was like,
totally.
And that was cool. Is like you could just walk into that paddock, you know, there's 30, 40 people in there, and someone hand you a plate of food. And, you know, welcome you, give you a hug, shake your hand. Who are you? You know, we don't even care. Like, just come sit down. You know, we'd have MotoGP on sometimes, or, you know, whatever we were, you know, bench racing, talking about the day, talking about the weekend. Like,
yeah.
And that's
Pridmore's trailer was there, right?
Family. What?
Pridmore's trailer was there. We were projecting movies and races and shit off of the side of that thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what makes club racing like legitimately, like those are the stories we tell as we tell them right now, but everybody else too, right? Like,
yeah,
there was
the fried chicken guy, right? What was his name? Fried chicken guy. I don't know. There was that guy. I did the shrimp. Jimmy I think Jimmy and Karen did like, I don't know, some kind of brat thing.
Yeah, Jimmy was always on the grill with a bunch of stuff.
We did the pig on the spit a couple times. That was different.
Dude, the Halloween race weekends were always a magnificent show.
It was a whole nother kind of shit show, right?
That was different. That's when the only the only weekend where I would legitimately get inebriated, I think.
Oh man. Like I can remember, okay, so we're talking about club racing stories, right? Like I'm thinking of that whole Halloween and like into the season kind of things too. What happened at CVMA? And I can remember
people's bikes on top of the classroom.
Well, mine ended up in the executive suite in the restroom. Or in the classroom or on the roof or
somebody's entire pit ended up on like the front straightaway.
Yeah.
Canopy, generator.
Was it the front straightaway or was it the runway?
Man, I can't remember. I thought it was on the front straight, but there was
definitely
the runway.
The runway was something because you look off in the distance, you're like, why is there what? Bike sitting there, warmers, everything.
The whole thing. It's like you wake up, you know, get out of your camper, walk out, you know, go to get your generator going put your warmers on. And you're like, has anybody seen my stuff?
Yeah. Well, what you're saying about CVMA though, like that was kind of my vision for the place back then. You know, I mean, we had these meetings and I was like, look, man, like WSMC at its heyday, I mean, you had to, like, if you did 26s, which was pretty fast, dude, you'd be like 14th or 15th. That's kind of the vibe I want here. And it took quite a while, right? In the last 5 years, it's really, really picked up the competitiveness. Right?
Yeah. I mean, and what's wild is like all the, and they've tried, and, you know, you can't, I don't know anything about pavement and asphalt and shit. And they, you know, and they tried. Maybe some people cut some corners on trying to save a little bit of money.
Mickey.
You know, whatever. But the everything that they've done to make the track better, dude, it looks terrible.
Oh, dude.
The track is the fastest it's ever been because all of that, all the sealant, all the aggregate, you're back down to the original track. And it is unbelievable. Not to mention how good the bikes are, not to mention how good the new tires are. You know, Pirelli and Dunlop tires are rocking. The tires are the best they've ever been, and the riders are the best they've ever been, dude.
Oh, dude.
Those boys, you know, Uribe, Bryce, Andrew Lee, I mean, fuck, the list goes. I mean, Anthony Norton, you know, Corey Alexander.
Williams.
The list goes on and on and on. Dude, they're all running 43s, 44.
Yeah.
Like, unheard of.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what, man? You guys have fun with that, dude.
No.
Like, I went out there, I did one race, like, I don't know, over a year ago. Like, not last year, the year before. That was my last race. And I was like, you know what? I'm good.
I just, you know, I personally, you know, out of a race, like, I want something different, you know, like, and Arma is really taking a big spot for me when it comes to like racing. It's because
they race old shit.
Yeah, well, the old shit, you know, I'm such a sucker for nostalgia and for the history of things. I love the history of our sport.
Yeah, I was me too.
Yeah, going a little bit farther back. But Dale Kiefer's here out of Las Vegas. We're at some event. I'm like, hey man, you know, good to see you, blah blah blah. And you know, we're just sitting down, you know, having a cup of water or whatever. Like, it's hot out, and I was like, hey, dude, I was watching a YouTube of you at Portland International as a 15-year-old winning the 250 GP race. And I'm like, and he told me the whole thing about the bike overheating and all the problems. You know, it's like, dude, Dale is an OG for reals, and that guy was tip of the spear there for a while when he was a young buck. But it's like, you know, being connected to some of these guys, like watching all the old videos. Dude, American Flat Track, their YouTube channel has like all the old DMG AMA Superbike races.
Oh, no way.
So, dude, I've been watching, like, I was trying to find video to prep for Road America when Mike and I went out there, and Anthony and Nick went out there for Moto America a couple weekends ago. And so we're trying to find video to prep for the race. And I've come across Josh Herron and Josh Hayes battling each other, and Martin Cardenas.
Oh, yeah.
Battling out at Road America like 2013.
Yeah.
And dude, I went down this rabbit hole for like 3 hours watching like all the OG Superbike races at Road America, Road Atlanta, up in Utah. Like, you know, when Herron was just, you know, chasing everybody's shadow and trying to find his way.
Right.
And Hayes was 4 times back to back.
Yeah, something like that. I think Herron got the one, right? He got that one championship, and then, you know, other than that, it was the Josh Hayes show until Tony showed up.
Yeah, dude, it was, and just like going back and watching all that, like Bobier, I mean, all those boys, like, and then, you know, like, I've got, you know, Jake Gagne and who else from the road race or JD Beach. Like, I've got their posters in my garage when they were hundreds. Right. You know, Danny Walker's team and the road race.
They came out and rode with us at Chuckwalla on a race weekend. Like,
they did,
right? Like, I remember JD had like Trackday stickers on his visor, and Jake had them on his bike. Their Trackday shit everywhere. I was like, yeah, bro. So.
Dude, that was a great weekend too. I remember like, watching those onboards, I think from Gagne, just like magnificent.
Yeah,
like and still right, like,
dude, to me still right. Like, have you seen the onboard I posted at Gagne at Podium Club? Dude,
maybe
insane. Like, it's not even like his fastest. It's like a 29. You know, it's not a 26. It's a 29.
And dude, and that's the thing. Like, if I want to experience that, like, I'll go grid up at Moto America with those boys and experience that. Yeah. I don't want to experience that, you know, as a club racer. I don't know. Maybe I'm different. You know, I've gotten in a lot of arguments with some dudes
about getting old.
But it's like, it's like, hey man, like I get it. You want to, we run a winter series and it's turned into the fucking place to be, right? And
Dude.
WMC used to be like that too, right? Like all the players would
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in races. I've been in club races at Willow Springs where it's like Zimke would roll out with the Arian Honda.
Oof.
You know, Richard would have his crew, a wrecking crew of people. Graves would have his people, and it was like murderers row. Like it was, yeah.
I mean, it's awesome, until you realize you're spending $3,000 a weekend, and you got to go to work on Monday. But
No, it's only a couple $100, right?
yeah, sure. Well, you
Right.
get to the pointy end of the spear, and it's just like, dude, if I want to spend this kind of money, and that, that's really kind of, I don't know. I wouldn't say that's the reason we jumped to racing nationals, but at the same time, and I think you probably had a bit of part to play in that as well. Yelling at all the Apex Assassins crews, like, if you guys think you're fast and you think you can do it, then go fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like go do it. Like, it's one thing to be fast at Chuckwalla or whatever your local track, but if you think you're king shit at dog shit mountain, like, go race Moto America. Put your money where your mouth is.
And you see what happens. It's not easy.
Brother,
And I look at some of the stock 1,000 guys and I'm like, raced with that guy, raced with that guy, raced with that guy.
Let's talk about that for a second. Stock 1,000 especially, and let's talk about Mike Bishop.
Yeah. He's in the comments too, so I'm sure he's watching.
Yeah, I hope so. His glass.
Dude, I'm stoked to see that guy. Like, I had a little clip with that guy on my latest vlog from Road America, and
yeah.
That dude is. I'm stoked for him. He's like the club racer guy moving up to pro and getting a job done. I mean, I think I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I got to find like 4 seconds. I'm like, what? Like, how do you find 4 seconds?
How do you? So last year, we'll rewind. We'll go back to last year, right? Mike posts up on social media. He kind of got peer pressured into it, but he had the points, right?
Like,
so he kind of peer pressured into him. A couple other guys on the team, probably Ty Bangford was in there too, and they're like, dude, if you can do it, just do it. And so he bought the license. He had the points. Jay Tanner signed off on it.
Right.
So, like, cool, let's roll. And I was like, hey man, I don't want to jump in if you've already got things figured out, but like, who's going to be your crew chief next year? And he goes, I don't really have an idea for that. I'm like, well, fucking, if you don't mind,
you're all like, put me in, coach.
Like, let's go. Yeah. And Mike and I have a long history together, going all the way back to Tucson. We were both in the Air Force. We didn't serve with each other, but we were stationed in Tucson at the same time.
Yeah.
Maintainers. He was an A10 guy. I was an F16 guy. And then he actually, the Trackday company that I briefly started back in 2012, the one event we held was like Mike's first track day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Revolution Track Days at Indy Motorsports Ranch. And that was
full circle.
Yeah. And so, and then he moves to Vegas, blah, 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 a bunch of different bikes. He's on the BMW. So our history is really, really cool too. And so we go out to Barber. I've been to Barber before. Great track. I know it well enough. Got some really good quality lap times with California Superbike out there, hanging out with them back in 2019, 2020. And so I know the track well enough to help him get around. He watches some great onboard, and dude, Murphy shows up at Moto America, right? Murphy's Law. So he goes out for the very first practice session. Shifter falls off. First lap. So we basically lose FP1. And then for like, Q1 and Q2, Q2 comes around. We look at the timesheets. We're halfway through the session. And he's like, how much time do I need? I'm like, dude, you need like 2.4 seconds to make the race. Bobier did I don't remember the lap times at Barber, but Bobier set a scorcher, and I'm like, you got, or not,
like
Bobier,
he does.
Hayden Gillum. There we go. We were in stock 1000. Hayden Gillum goes out there and sets a scorcher, And I'm like, dude, I need you to go find 2.4 seconds. He goes, okay, puts his helmet on, does his outlap. That next flyer is no bullshit, 2.4 seconds. And we make the show. And there were dudes from Chuckwalla out that made the trip out there. Well, CVMA, rather. There's some SoCal guys out there that are 3 seconds a lap faster on any given weekend at Chuckwalla than Mike is. And they didn't make like they weren't even close. And
that's pretty common. That's pretty common.
All season long, he did that. So we developed a really good flow. We had a really good plan of attack. He's never ridden any of these racetracks. Barber, Brainerd, The Ridge, Laguna, New Jersey. He's never set a wheel on them, never mind walked around on them. So I've been to half of them. And we came up with a really good strategy. It worked. And then he'd come in. He'd do like 3 to 5 laps in Q2. He'd come in, get a water break. We throw the warmers on, look at the lap time, see where we needed to be. And I would tell him, I'm like, hey, man, I need 1.5 seconds. And he would go, I know where to find that. He'd put his helmet on, his outlap, and then that next flyer was this 1.5 seconds. And we'd make the show.
So like that's your guys' MO then. You're just like, you go out there, you know, because you get so much track time, right?
You get no track time.
Yeah, like you gotta get those, like, walk me through that. Like, walk the audience through that, right? Because the club race thing, you can do laps and laps. You do the track day on Friday. Sometimes you do it on Thursday. Sometimes you do it on Wednesday, right? You go there and you get a gazillion laps. You can wear out yourself, your bike, all your equipment. Motor America is not like that. It's a professional series. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. It's a professional series. So talk about like what the practice time is like. How many laps does Mike get as a stock 1,000 guy?
So laps on average, I mean, you get 25 to 30 minutes for a practice session.
So how do you get up to speed in one session? Because you hear it, right? You're a track day guy too, right?
Yeah.
You're a club race guy. Like, oh, I don't know if I want to make that club weekend if I can't do the Friday at least, you know, because you go to the national, the guy's got 30-minute session and that's it.
So there's a number of different ways to approach that. Like the big picture is your mentality as a racer. And that's really where my my coaching program was born. There's so many people out there with like curriculums that are focused on, you know, multi-steps, you know, you gotta, which isn't a bad thing. Like YCRS, California Superbike, like really, really great programs, but you kind of have to invest in those programs. And then any other coach you're working with, it's like, it's style, it's form over function, it's style over performance. Like, where do we really make our money as a road racer and as a competitive athlete? It's like, it's in between the ears, right? So what's the mentality of it? And I think Road America was a really good example of like how to break down a racetrack you've never been to. It's 14. Well, it's more like it's like 17 corners long because they have like some A's and B's, right? So it's a 15 plus corner racetrack. It's a roller coaster. It's got 3 main straightaways that are all 6 gear, 160 mile an hour, and it's 4 miles long.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, all the corners are blind flat entries, and you can't see the exit. So being able to identify corners, is it blind? Is it decreasing? Is it increasing? Is it off camber? Is it on camber? Is it downhill? Is it uphill? Is it blind over a crest? Like, does it lead? You know, is it an exit corner or an entry corner? Right? Does it lead into a slow section? Does it lead into a fast section? Where's our visual markers? What can we see? So we get a Thursday, we get like 4 or 5 hours of what we call track familiarization. So we do basically have a track walk, and you can spend as much time on the racetrack as you want during that time. So we walk the track, and it's cool, right? Like everyone's out there. So you're seeing like Kayla Yakov, you're seeing, you know, Andrew Lee, you know, it's like Travis Wyman, you know, just to name people that I know. But you know, you
people
see
that we raced against at Chuckwalla.
You know, and then you see, you know, you see your heroes too, right? So like PJ Jacobson, what's crazy to me is like half the paddock like doesn't even know who PJ is. It's like, dude, I was rooting for PJ when he was, racing against Keenan Safoglu.
Yeah.
World Super Sport, dude. Like that guy was
beast, dude.
Like that guy is a
like I try to holler at that dude every time. I'm like, bro, like I had you picked to win until I found out Matt was gonna ride. Sorry.
Dude, that's a kick in the nuts, bro. But both of those dudes are riding the wheels.
Like I legit said that to his face. Just a heads up.
That's fucking hilarious. And PJ's a good sport, and that's the thing, dude. Like, you see him in the bathroom, right? And you're just like, that's fucking PJ Jacobson. Like, oh my god,
like
still, he's beautiful. He's a beautiful.
Wow.
Frosted tips and everything.
Oh, people say that about Bob. Anyway.
But you're out on the track with those dudes, right? You're walking around.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh well, maybe I'll ask one of these dudes a question. And I think at Road Atlanta, I hollered at Andrew Lee, and Andrew's become a good friend. I was like, hey man, where are you turning in for this corner? And he goes, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, turn in. He's like, brother, I'm looking at the exit. And he just walks by. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. It's because they're out there walking.
Oh, you're out there. Can you just spray paint an X on it for me so I know when
Hey, can we put a cone out here for the apes, please?
Yeah,
Why are the cones all gone? But that's part of the process, right? So you walk the track and you identify what corners are what and where you think things are going to be a problem. And I know Mike well enough as a rider where I know where he's going to be strong. I know where he's going to struggle a little bit. I know where we have to focus on. And then there's some of the unknowns. So how is he going to, like Road America again?
Like, how is he going to get through the carousel? Like, how is he going to treat that?
The carousel really wasn't a big deal till we like saw it. And then we realized, that it's a like third gear, like under a bridge, like blind entry. And then it goes downhill and decreases. I'm like, well, this could be a problem for you. It most likely won't. I was more concerned with like turn 5.
Yeah.
And getting in the draft, getting sucked down into turn 5, popping out, and then which happened to him a couple times. Like he definitely shot. Turn 5 and turn 6 were real big problems. And so it's like, be strong.
Is that first gear for you guys? Are you go down to first?
Man, I don't remember. I think it's second gear. The gearing we're running.
Like bing, 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 on the nose.
6 to second for sure.
Like I went down
we really
there.
don't run first gear on the Beamer.
Okay.
If we were on and I don't think Anthony's running it either. I liked to run first gear, like when I was on the 610. I had some really tall gearing, but that's all rider choice anyway, right? So,
I mean, I went down there, kind of like spotter roll kind of thing, and I saw a lot of dudes backing it in there, like just full lock sideways.
Like in the words of Chris Simcoe, like turn 5 is proper mega.
Yeah, everything's proper mega to that dude.
I love that dude, man. He's he gets you going.
Character for sure.
But yeah, so like that's what we did. And then first practice, I told Mike, I'm like, listen, we can only build the foundation of the house once. And once it's up, it's up. Like we can't go back. So I want you to go out there and like if we get black flagged for going too slow, that's a win for me. Like that's a win. Yeah. So I don't think he got out of fourth gear for 2 laps down down any of the straightaways. Like he really took his time working into Canada corner, working into turn 5, right. Working into turn 8, working into turn 14. Like these are
so
really
what kind of like you're learning the track in a short amount of time, so you're taking advantage of that track walk, right? So
go slow to go fast.
What kind of things are you guys, on the track walk? I mean, I've done a million of them, right? Like, what are you guys looking for? Like, where he wants to end up? Like, what's the exit look like? Or like, and are you guys taking notes of the track map? Like, what?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mike brings his track map out there and take notes. And for last year, Anthony had been to a lot of those tracks. So he had some really good insights about like the Ridge, Laguna, Barber, which was really, really cool. And then at the tracks that we'd all been to, well, Anthony and I had been to, we were able to kind of compare notes. And Mike is very similar to the kind of rider that I am. So some stuff that like Lugnut would like to do didn't really translate for us, but some things that I liked to do at, say, at Laguna, it did translate. And then Mike would fill in the gaps on his own. And so, yeah, Road America, sticking with that as the example, all the entries are blind. Like there's not a lot of good, strong visual reference points. And like all of your brake markers, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, are like this big.
Oh, wow.
And so after that first practice session, like Lugnut came in and he goes, I can't see fucking anything out there, dude. He's like, by the time I look up and look around, it's like the 100 marker, and you're like, like, so the hardest part for that visually was the chicane. So you come out of the carousel, you drop down, and then you're on the stick. I think you short shift up into fourth, and then as you're driving in there, you can't see anything, and all of a sudden there's this fucking chicane. And you're like, oh, they had 2 giant Mission Chips, like red and yellow Mission Chips advertisement signs out on the track. On either side of the chicane. And so I was like, listen, you're going to have to get a feel for where you're going to initiate your turn in, but just to give your eyes something to pick up on as you look down the track, like grab a hold of those signs, dude, and then work your way into it. Because again, like slow is smooth is fast, whatever the fuck. But we can only like go slow to go fast. Because if you charge in there, right, and like all of the good old fashioned fundamental rules of racing a motorcycle apply. All the stuff you're going to hear from all the OGs, from Nick Einosh, from Keith Code, et cetera, from Jeremy Toy. If you charge the corner, you're just going to fuck yourself.
Yeah.
So go in there slow. Take your time. Figure it out. Figure out where the bump is so that you don't tuck the front on the brakes when you start getting after it, Figure out what it's like when you drive a little bit too far out. It's like Aaron Yates used to like run off the racetrack on purpose. Like everywhere. Like when he was riding with ESP and at the very end of his career, Evan would show me his data and he'd be like, dude, this is some of the wildest shit. Like Aaron was a madman. He would try every possible iteration of a race line that he could figure out during like a testing day.
Yeah.
And when they put a new set of tires on, brother, he was like 6 inches off the mark. Like he was the most consistent. Like his line would be like, a third grader's crayon drawing just on a blank piece of paper. And then when it came to like the test day, like, hey, we're going to go put laps down. It was one line. Right. And I learned so much just from like hanging out, being a fly on the wall with like Bill and with Evan and watching Jake and watching like Jeff May and listening to those guys and how they debriefed their riders and everything. Dude. So able to bring a lot of that to the table, the little snippets that I picked up, to what Mike and I are doing. It's so fucking cool. But so practice, man, like we try to translate what we saw on the track walk and what we would see during, onboard video, what Mike liked, what Mike didn't like, and where he thought he could get better and some of the nuances of everything. So we built into that. We built up to it. Go slow, go unreasonably fucking slow, like have guys mad at you and then pick the pace up. And so I think from the beginning of practice to the end of practice, day one was like 10 seconds. And then for Q1 was in the wet. That's another story. Q2 was like another 10 seconds.
You guys did you guys go out? Did he go out in the wet? It's probably a smart move, right?
No, it's fucking retarded.
I think it was because it helped him learn the track at a slower, probably maybe.
But we already did that, and so yes, on one hand, I agree with you.
Yeah,
and we had a long discussion as a team. So me, Nick, Lugnut, and Mike, and we're like, there's no benefit. All right, it's Q1. Like, what are we gonna do? Go pitch the bike down the road? Like, awesome. Like, go send it into the fucking trees. Like, great.
Yeah.
Anthony was like, dude, I'm out. I'm like, that's a smart decision. Mike and I talked, and then like 30 minutes before the session, I'm like, I was taking a little power nap in the trailer, and I'm like, where's Mike? And I hear tools. I poke my head out of the trailer, and he's throwing a rear wheel on with the rain on it.
Wow.
I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going out. I'm like, all right. So I put the front wheel on.
Let's do it.
I'm like, he's like, dude, I paid money. We're here to ride. I'm going to ride. I'm like, all right.
By the way, just a heads up, the chat is hilarious right now. Like Manny Segura is like,
oh, Manny
already, right? And now he's like, okay, you guys are finally getting to the point, like. And then Drea Dotzel, I don't know who.
Yeah, his sister.
Who?
That's Manny's sister.
Oh, that's Manny's sister. Shit.
Yes.
Okay. So she's like, basically with Mike, she's picturing a cool running scenario at the back of the hotel on race weekends. Blink twice if you need help.
We're gonna have to get a lucky.
There's a lot of back and forth too between the crew and Barry, and just
fantastic.
Yeah, it's all in there. Thanks you guys for watching this.
Its own microcosm.
Watching Bill ramble on and on. We talked about this, right? Like, we're gonna try not to go like 3 or 4 hours, right? We're gonna do like.
No, this is gonna be a Joe Rogan long format.
My god! So, you know what? You've had that. You've been the crew guy. You've done a bunch of races yourself. On a lot of different equipment. I mean, I remember you had that Red Bull looking Ninja 250 thing. You did the R6 thing. You got a bunch of vintage Gixxers, like a more modern Gixxers. Like, you've become a Gixxer guy, I guess.
I have.
Like,
I don't know how that happened.
It's because you became friends with Finley, dude. Like,
and
he spread it, dude. It's like AIDS, kind of like, but it's like Gixxers.
Gixxer aid.
Gixxer aid.
Except you don't die.
Well, I mean, no, you just crash yourself retarded. That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And Richard and I are definitely in that fucking boat.
Yeah, Pettis says you were a lot cooler when you rode Yamahas. I have to
say that because he's still on the same
Yamaha
that he bought like 7 years ago. How many motors you put in that thing, dude?
Who, me or him?
No, Pettis.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if he's putting engines in there, he's got the wrong people building them.
Well, he's just because he's got a great mechanic. It's just the way he rides it. It's not the mechanics.
Oh, he wrings its neck for all it's worth every lap.
Yeah. Well, when you run Arroyo gearing at Chuckwalla, if you run 1447 and you're like, I don't know why it's not working. It's like, me neither, dude. Anyway.
Man. So we were talking about it earlier. Like I purposely put this particular suit in the background because there's a little tire mark on it from you.
You're welcome.
Like, I kept the suit just for that.
And you're not the only person that I've crashed into that has marks on their suit from. I don't know if I should brag about that. But.
This was a brand new suit too. It was like I just got it from Mythos. It had the airbag in it. It was like it was basically the first weekend of racing for me back after breaking my back.
That was turn 6, and you chopped the throttle, and then
you're like, why'd you chop the throttle? I was like, because the two guys in front of me did the same thing. I had nowhere to go.
I don't know why you just didn't go up the inside.
Did you end up on the ground?
What to you?
There was nowhere to go, dude. There was like we were already 3 or 4 wide.
That's why I hit you.
Yeah. Yeah, so
I felt
and then the next lap I saw a black bike back there, and I thought it was you, but I think it was that Duffy kid, right?
Dude, Duffy, he almost ran over my head.
Yeah.
I liked that guy, man.
Yeah, I liked him too.
Yeah,
but
I felt I think you after it was all said and done, like you brought your tail section over and it was all smashed in. You're like, dude, Bert just painted this. I'm like, don't drop the throttle next time. I don't know.
Yeah, John Righty is like, reparations in club racing. Talk about reparations in club racing or any racing.
There
racing incident.
There are none. Racing incident, dude. Like when I was on the 250, because it had a bunch of fancy parts on it, I was racing up against like 300s and whatever, the 350 class at Chuckwalla. And I run off the racetrack. I think I ran off. I was in the top 5. I got a great start, but I was getting picked off on the power. Then I ran off, I think in like turn 4 or 5, get back on. All the experts are gone in front of me. And the lead amateur rider tries to make a pass. We're going counterclockwise into 17 on the inside. Runs me up on the curbing. Dude, Nick, the old Mad Turk, he's on the wall, or he's at the fence watching me. Yeah. He's like, dude, you slid on your head with your feet in the air.
Man.
Because that kid went out. And, speaking of tire marks on the back of suits, I had that kid. He was on an R3. I had his front tire all the way down the front fairing of my bike, on the front fender, on my whole left leg. I was, and he came over and apologized, and I was like, listen, bro, you need to come back in like an hour and a half, because right now I'll fucking kill you. And he did. And that's reparations, dude. He came back, he apologized, we talked about it, we hugged it out, everybody was okay. And that's like, it's a racing incident. It's what we're out there doing. And don't blame anybody to take a shot, like throw it up the inside and try to make it stick.
Yeah. I mean, it's always that the imaginary belief that you're owed something. You're not, because you're all doing the same shit. That's what Righty's saying. It's right. It's like, we get all worked up. We get the red mist going. Like, how dare you, But then you're like, wait a minute. What?
I remember some great examples of that. So when I was racing against Brian Short, when he was on that crazy R6 superbike of his, there's had a couple races where I was close enough, I could still see him, and there's this kid, I want to say he was Canadian, but he might have just been from up north. He was on some superbike Honda. It's the last lap. We're going to
Jordan something. Was it Jordan something?
No, it wasn't that kid. That guy was never that fast. But hey, dude, turned into, threw it into turn 3, and that kid literally just T-boned him. Like, didn't even make the corner.
Yeah.
It's just like, what do you do? And so watching guys like Brian, watching guys like you and some other people, and then experiencing it myself, having dudes legitimately take you out. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah. I mean, I watched you go through a bunch of different brands of leathers over time, different brands of helmets, and like, you've sampled just about everything out there. I see you've got the rider gear back there, so that's the latest, I guess, huh?
There she is. And I have to say, not just because Tony's my boy and does a really, really great job. Like, that's a great suit, and I hung up Dainese for rider gear.
Really?
Oh, not looking back. So I worked for Dainese part-time for 3 years. And kind of, they opened a store in Las Vegas, like 2020-ish COVID time. And so I ended up working there part-time. And their gear is good. I will say, still some of the best boots I think you can buy. I love, and I had Tony reverse engineer my Dainese custom work suit so that I could fit the Axial Pro boots into this suit. Because for me, and everybody's got different tastes, different feel, and different, especially when it comes to feet. Like, your feet look fucking weird. Put them in something that makes them feel good. Don't try to shove them in some Italian piece of shit. It costs too much money.
Right.
But the Dainese boots work, but everything else sucks. Like, their airbag still sucks. You crash in them, the seams blow apart like every time you crash, and then you got to send it in, and it takes 3 weeks, a month, 6 months to get your suit back.
What's the rider gear airbag thing?
It's the Helite internal system.
Okay.
So the same system that Bison's using.
Bison's using that same stuff. Yeah, the Packy suit guys all doing that, huh?
But that Helite system's legit. You can replace if you low side, airbag pops, brush yourself off, you're good to go. You can just unzip, disconnect the canister, plug a new canister in, suit's ready to go. Go crash again.
I think the new Alpine Star vest is that way too now. I haven't seen that yet. I'm still rocking the Mythos suits with the Alpine Stars Tech Air.
There you go. I mean, I love the airbag, but I mean, like the air and Ty Bankford had this issue too. It's like we both have broken collarbones. I have my shoulder separation is from the airbag not going off in a Dainese suit. His collarbone is from an airbag not going off. So here we are.
I'd say I broke my back because I didn't have an airbag.
Yeah. Yeah. So I believe in the airbag. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially the way that the Helite system is. It covers more than just your collarbone and your upper shoulders. Like you're getting full torso coverage. Right. Soft coverage of your tender places, and it's good. Yeah. I love the rider gear stuff. Mike's in rider gear this year too. I think Mike and Anthony are both in it. And dude, right from the get-go, Mike put on his rider gear suit and he was like, holy shit. I was like, I fucking told you. And then
yeah, I mean, look, I've heard reports of suits not deploying. I've had a false deployment myself, being a goon, doing the little torque wheelies on the pre-grid, right? Dicking around with the Harley guys when they first started coming out, the Chuck Wallet, and I popped in a airbag. I thought it was Brian Short jumping on the back and give me a bear hug kind of thing, right? Because that's what he would do. And I was like, wait a minute, oh, that's what it feels like, But I've also had the airbag go off on me in pretty high speed get off, even a couple years ago, right? Like the thanks a lot go move, like that guy. Yeah, airbag went off in that, but the slower speed stuff, you're probably not going to have the deployment that you want. Slower speed stuff, no.
Which is okay. Like it's not designed to go off in the slow speed stuff. Dude, my turn 6 crash at Laguna, going bar to bar with Ty, like that was very thankful. I made it all the way to the air fence.
At our event.
That was the Gold Cup with CRA.
Yeah, the CRA event. That was like
we were battling for 5th place.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some scraps there. Me, you, Ty. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, then went back out there 2 weeks later for my pro debut and made it count.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So awesome.
What do you think of all the air fence stuff that's going on? Like tracks needing it and that kind of thing.
As far as what? Like is there something going on or?
Well, I mean, just there's always air fence stuff needed. Like, what do you think about the air fence now that you?
I mean, I think there was recently an article in it might have been in one of the recent AMA magazines, but like talking about the road race air fence fun, road racing world air fence fun, and like what John Ulrich has done and Chris Ulrich have done, and
right.
Due to air fence, especially like in Utah, it's a great example. Deployment of air fence has allowed us to race, at places like, I guess it's Birch Brothers Motorsports Park now, but Miller East, like.
Is that what it's called now?
It's the new company or the new title sponsor. I don't know.
Utah Motorsport Campus anymore. It's
Birch Brothers Motorsports.
Okay.
Yeah. But like we weren't able to race it on the East course, or I think it was the East course and doing the full perimeter course, because it's just the bikes are too fast. They're gonna make it to the wall. And air fence saves your fucking ass.
Dude, it does.
And I think one of like, I'd say like one of the biggest volunteer things that any group of riders can do at a club racing event or a pro racing event, or, some of the events that we put on, our July 4th event in Utah, Trackday Circus, and then the Trackday Massacre at Podium Club for our Halloween event with Apex Assassins and Legion. Having guys go out there and help put up the air fence. And if you're lucky, you probably get a little kickback on your event as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I still kind of had nightmares about setting up air fence at Laguna that weekend that you were talking about.
Yeah,
man,
you put a lot of work in that, man.
Dude, it was like 3 days of just work at night. I mean, it was like I think Thursday night, Friday night, both. I spent hours setting up the air fence because we didn't know what we were doing. We had some guys send us a manual, and we had a couple of guys that had worked with it before, but they'd never seen any stuff like this that was like on a pallet, So we had it turned around backwards. We had that shit fucked up. But tearing it down was way easier, right? Yeah. So and the stuff that we had was it had come directly from a dirt track race, like in the middle of the country somewhere, right? So some of it was still wet and muddy. A couple of the panels had been blown apart, and we're like, nope, can't use that one. So we just stuck it in the drainage creek, like at the bottom of the corkscrew there. Yeah, we're like, yeah. So the air fence stuff, and then most recently at the circuit at Buttonwillow, the new track that we would hope to open for 5 years, right? And it finally opened this year. And right before it opened, they started at the end of last year. They started putting up these walls. I'm like, guys, I don't remember seeing this wall here, And there was a really bad one in turn 1. Thankfully, they've removed that one. I did a video. I hope I got to operate an excavator, right? Is that what you call it? Excavator? Anyway.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat. But so that wall's gone. But there's a couple of areas on the track that, the exit of that banked left-hander, and then you go up to the top of the, I guess you call it the keyhole or whatever they call it now. I call it the tunnel because it's like both sides. It's very slow. But man, a couple of phone calls later, John Ulrich hooked us up with some air fence, and we got some panels out there, and it's great. And quite frankly, we haven't had anybody hit it, so that's cool. But we'd sure like a little bit more of it. So we're running an air fence track day next month to try to raise some more dough for that stuff. So I know a lot of guys back east are doing that kind of stuff. So maybe we'll try something like that here. Hopefully, I got to sign up today, so we'll see. We're gonna do 2-up rides and raffles, and come do the track day, win some stuff, maybe get a ride, whatever, and then we'll raise some dough to get some more of that air fence stuff. More is better.
More is better. It's literally a lifesaver, and yeah. I mean, just watch some of the the old World Superbike, old MotoGP. I mean, I think it was oh man, what was that dude's name? He raced for the Suzuki team.
Not thinking of Hopkins, are you?
There we go. You want to see what air would save your ass for? Watch some of Hopper's crashes where he went feet first in the concrete wall. It's like, well, I'm not MotoGP. It's like, no, you're just at some track in Southern California, like And when you hit the wall, like it's not going to feel good.
So what made you, I'm not going to talk more about that morbid stuff, but like, what are you gonna? How did you get involved in the coaching thing? Because like I know I did that USMCA thing with you, like when they did that meeting out in, where was that, Riverside, Temecula?
It was in Temecula, yeah.
Let's
see if this light, it's currently in a little dark here.
So like what made you decide to take that next step and start coaching people?
It kind of the same answer, that I gave a little bit earlier. You asked me like what kept me in the sport,
Okay.
but it really made a big shift, circa like 2019. But I was working with Jason Citra, and so when he started Desert Road Racing, he was kind of inadvertently looking for like a rider rep / new racer school coach, and him and I were on the phone together, and he started telling me some of the positions he was looking for, and I was like, dude, you're talking to the guy that you want on the phone. Like I can bring all these things to you. So my experience running events with Charlie at Musselman Honda Circuit, supermoto events, sport bike track day events, like some Rotax, whatever, Circuit of the America go-kart races I volunteered for. So I had a pretty good understanding of a number of different disciplines when it came to like putting together track events, but also teaching people how to get around the racetrack. And hanging out with some really, really like quality people again, like being a fly on the wall for rider debriefs with, Jake Holden and Evan Steele, and hanging out with some other people as well. And just asking the right questions, being inquisitive. And then 2019, I ended up getting hired by this local kid from SoCal, Austin Phillips. So he was like an amateur.
I remember Austin Phillips.
He's like
he was like a neighbor of mine, kind of.
Yeah. He did live out towards you.
Yeah, I rode bicycles with that guy.
He ended up being
I tortured that guy.
Fast sandbagging amateurs, dude. He was doing like 49s on an R6.
Yeah.
Won an amateur championship, and then through talking to a bunch of people, he ended up
doing R7, right? Yeah, the twin.
Yeah, it was an Andy,
the MT-07R.
Was the MT, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
It was an Andy Palmer bike, so he was putting them all together to race Moto America. So he ended up being on one of those with Altus Motorsports, and hired me to be his mechanic. And so we developed a whole bunch of stuff together as far as like nutrition plans, workout plans, really kind of dove in trying to find some answers to how to make him competitive off the race. And then that kind of fizzled out. And I was talking to a whole bunch of people at the time. I think, it keeps coming up, like Jason Pridmore, Jeremy Toy, like these guys. I just kind of pick their brains whenever I would get the chance, and they would just give me just little tidbits before they, told me I was an idiot. Well, Jason never told me that, but Jeremy never misses.
Jeremy never pulls the punch ever.
Yeah, dude. And I'll see him at the track, and they'll be like, "Hey, Dad," and he loves it. He loves it. Wow. But I ended up living with Ryan Whitman.
Oh wow!
So I think came back to the West Coast like the end of July that year, and I was like, "Hey, dude, like this is where I'm at. This is what I got going on." And he's like, "Well, let's go to Laguna together, and spend the weekend up there for the Moto America race, and then we'll talk about it." So we go up to Laguna. I bring my Aprilia Tuono, and then through Scott Ryberick and Justin DeLong, Justin was racing not for, but with Tuned Racing with Mike Pond at the time. So I got to go out as like Justin's like rider coach / like mental guru,
life coach, bartender.
How to make it through the weekend without freaking out. And Justin's was and is a really, really good friend of mine. So that was a privilege, but I got to see more of like what it takes to put a program together.
Okay.
And develop a rider, and things just started clicking in my head from
fast forward to the USMCA thing.
Oh, we're not there yet. We're almost there. So I'm living in Ryan's trailer on the side of his house in Escondido. you know, and I'm paying rent by cooking meals for him and Marissa and young Dylan at the time. But then, dude, I don't even remember how like I got invited to that.
Yeah, me either.
But I got the email because I'd signed up to be a coach, and I went through the thing that, you know, the level 100, the background check, and you know the tests, and you know what do you do when you have a kid that comes out and has heat strokes? I got to throw water on him and pray that he gets better. And then we end up in this beautiful resort in Temecula. I rode the Aprilia up, and I got lost. And then it's, you know, it's like all the players. It's like you were there, which was great.
All the players, you were there.
Yeah, you're a player.
Okay.
You were to me. You still are. You're one of the guys in the SoCal West Coast scene, man. Yeah, Eric Bostrom was there. Pridmore was there. Keith Code was there. And so
you and I ended up at a table sitting next to Keith Code and across from Danny Walker. And go.
Danny was so it started off rather civil. Danny's like, so Keith, tell me about these BMWs. You got brand new people that have never been on a motorcycle before. And, you know, so Keith kind of bristles up a little bit, and then the two of them start going back and forth. And I think Keith won that, to be honest.
I think so, too, because Keith brought data and receipts.
Always. And it makes sense, too, right? Like those S1000s, and at the time, I think it was the second gen, right? You can still adjust put it in raid mode, put it in limp mode, like put it in whatever mode.
Any mode.
Yeah, so when you have, you know, a 55-year-old female that has got, you know, 500 miles on the racetrack or on the street and comes out with her husband and they want to do levels 1, 2, 3, and 4,
right?
You adjust the motorcycle to fit the rider, and it works. It's fantastic. They have success, and you know, I was plugged into those guys too for a couple of years. I did a lot of volunteer work.
I think part of that is you know, Danny Walker, good dude, super plugged into the sport for years and years and years. But, you know, he was also kind of at that time during that, if you recall, like he was kind of fresh off of, you know, kind of getting run through the ringer a bit in Superbike, with more specifically with the advanced electronics stuff. You know, I don't know if you remember, but that Honda Superbike effort that they put forward, they had fast as shit engines, but the electronics, they just had a nightmare of a time with the electronics. So, you know, I would not be surprised if that guy is still kind of like not stoked on advanced electronics, right? He's more like you don't need electronics, just drag the rear brake.
Yeah, just like some old school Superbike techniques and just figure it out.
Right.
But no, dude, that was a great what? It was more than a luncheon, it was a whole day. That was really cool. And just, you know, at that time for me, again, like being around those dudes, I mean, legends. Absolutely.
Dude, I think both of us registered for the cheap insurance like right then. Right?
Yeah,
like
that with K&K, right? Like unbelievable.
It was like what, $200 a year?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Umbrella policy, you know, which is great, especially in today's day and age where you got these dumbass riders showing up to events without waivers, right?
Right. Yeah. It goes full circle, right? Like my rant videos have kind of, I don't know, people are I had one guy today, I had to like look up what that meant, but some guy on TikTok was like, "Oh, your millennial pause is atrocious." I was like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, first of all, I guess I'm older than that, so thanks.
Yeah, what year were you born?
75.
Yeah, dude, you're way before millennial, bud. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah, millennial pause. Yeah, look it up. Yeah.
Wow, I probably do that a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you call it buffering.
Well, that's because of my head injury.
Oh, dude, totally.
But to go back to before we jumped into that, you had asked how I got into coaching, and so I had just a bunch of great experiences, and my brain still worked back then. And so, dude, I would just spend hours at night, late at night, in the trailer on my computer, putting together what I called like the mentality of racing.
Yeah.
Everything that I experienced, and again, like talking to guys like Scott Rybarek, had a huge part to play in that. That guy has been there for not just me. I mean, I think for like everybody in the paddock. He's running the BTR program. He's the former president of Utah SBA. And that, goes back a couple of years now. But
I know Rybo.
yeah,
that guy forever, dude. I did a 2-up ride with him at Road America. He gave me a ride in carousel.
You guys are connected too with YCRS, so
yeah.
I forget who knows who, but yeah, man, I came up with this whole like coaching program that really focused on, again, the mentality of it. And then I used that was the same when I got back from everything. Richard was looking for like a lead coach, and him and I were talking about Apex Assassins and where the club was at, and they were growing super fast. And so I came in and joined the team and kind of corralled our rider coaches and renamed them staff riders and got a bunch of guys hooked up.
Where you got that idea from?
I don't know. I think we talked a bit about that. Well, we wanted to do more, and every organization has their thing, right? And we just wanted to do it a little bit different. And so then I used the team to vet my program, and next thing you know, and a rider's still got to ride the bike, but the conversations we were having as a team, watching everybody level up to expert, and then like me, Ty, Anthony, Jack Backen, and then so at the time, like our amateur riders like Mike and Nick Nevin and Corey Matthews, and now it's like Josh Ferrer and some of the other guys, the Ruthless Boys like Martin and Sammy now, and dude, like we really created a culture, a competitive culture on the team. And then just kind of look at what happened. We ended up putting, I think, 5 of us over the last 4 years. We're all pro licensed Moto America riders.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, I kind of used the team to vet the program, and then really focused on one-on-one rider development. So doing, one-on-one rider training, and then meeting the rider where they're at. So not having any preconceived notions or, former experiences with other clubs or coaching organizations. It's just like, where do we get into the meat and potatoes of how we ride a motorcycle? The fundamentals are the fundamentals, and like the things that Keith Code discovered, in the 80s and 90s on how to ride and race a friggin' superbike.
People don't give that guy credit enough, man.
Dude,
we're all doing this crap because that guy,
And then talking to dudes like Fuzzy, talking to dudes like Yosef, talking to dudes like Richard Samoli, right? Like suspension technology hasn't friggin' changed. The way
we're pushing oil through a hole.
Yeah, the way the metal flexes, the way a frame works, the way blah 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 blah. Right. Wheels, brakes, the whole bit.
Yeah.
Gyroscopic motion, centrifugal force. It's all the same shit. So how do you communicate that to a C group rider? How do you communicate to a B group rider who wants to go to A group? How do you communicate
that?
You
go to step 1 and the 10 steps of whatever, and then here you go. Like, you're in a series of switchbacks. What if you missed a step? Oh.
Start over. But yeah, that was really the impetus of it all, is just like the mentality of it, and really coming up with a comprehensive program that where I can talk to different riders the way they need to be talked to. Like I can explain things to most people out there.
Yeah.
And that's really what like charged me up, is like the program worked.
I'm reading the comments. Alan Rodriguez says you need to write a book, a little one though. Yeah.
I've started a couple. They got
so. Let me ask you this, dude. Like, I mean, you and I both have shared some pretty significant head injury stuff, and I counseled with you, right? Like, you were like, bro, this is happening, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like, we compared notes and made some recommendations to each other based on experience. Like, how has that been for you, man? Because I know you had a pretty good one.
So
a year ago.
Yeah, we're about a month away from a year, from 12 months. So July 22nd, last year, 2024. Coming off of a very successful ARMA weekend on the Silver Cloud 2001 Gixxer 1000. Got a first and a second on that, and then I got a first and a second on the big bike.
Yeah.
So riding an RSV4 Aprilia during the Aprilia Trackday.
So one of their bikes.
Yeah, one of their bikes. Big shout out to Dan Trotty and the Piaggio group boys, and like everybody with the everyone the Aprilia program. Like, unbelievable human.
No reparations, right?
Reparations. And they were genuinely concerned about my health. And like, when I saw Dan earlier this year, man, he gave me like the biggest hug. Like, it sucks that these things happen. But yeah, high-sided in turn 4, no recollection, no idea what was happening. Really? Nobody around. And it was a quick one too, because the bike kept going. It rode itself all the way out to the wall by the bleachers in turn 4. The second.
Oh, wow.
That's what Richard told me.
Wow.
Like, you see it snake through the dirt, and then it was at the second set of bleachers, but I was still laying on the racetrack.
Oh, okay.
So I think what happened was I turned in too soon, and caught the seam with either the front or the rear wheel, and it was just one of those really quick, and popped me off, landed on the back of my head, out cold. And they had to end the session, so I mean, I don't think anybody got out to me for at least 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if not longer. So I was just laying there like a rag doll.
Well, it's a good thing you don't remember nothing.
Scared a bunch of people.
Dude, it scared us. Scared me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, I woke up in the hospital. My beautiful and amazing wife rubbing my chest, asking me where we were, and I was like, we're at Laguna, duh. And I was like, Joe Biden's still the president.
Oh my God.
And then I looked down at my arms, and I got plugs in both my arms, and I was like, what's going on? She's like, you crashed. I was like,
no way.
I'm like, what the why am I'm in the hospital? So that was shitty. Then she had to drive us the 8 hours back home. And, I was propped up in the passenger seat with a pillow and a blanket. She drove us back home. She's the real hero of this whole situation. God bless that woman. We're dealing with all my shit.
So talk a little bit about it. I mean, look, I had a good one where I was like, I saw a double for like a month and a half, something like that.
So I didn't have any.
I still have like the short-term memory loss, like the memory of
buffering.
People's names, buffering, dude. Like that is, man. Buffering. That's, and I feel like mine's not even as bad as some of the other guys. Like there was a guy. I don't know if you know this guy or know this name, but Robbie Dowie. So Robbie Dowie,
but I've never. Yeah.
Robbie had a crash at Willow Springs qualifying for the Toyota 200. One of them. I don't remember which one. And I don't know, maybe in 05. I don't know. But he had he basically took an extra lap on one of those special 1-lap dumb ups, the qualifying tires.
Yeah.
He took an extra lap, and the thing basically exploded on him in the middle of turn 9. And
made for 1 lap, no bullshit.
Oh yeah. So he goes. I think his 1 lap was ruined. So he basically pulled the plug on it, and then they made some changes, whatever, and then he goes back out thinking it'd be okay, but it was far from okay, right? And so the guy, it took him a while, bro. Like I think he's still like his speech is still not right. And I remember I remember seeing him, and he's like, he was talking about he was talking about strawberries in the backyard at his house, but he didn't know what they were, what they called them, or if that they were red. So, yeah.
Yeah, thankfully,
It's that fruit that grows in the backyard with the seeds in it. It's that color. Yeah.
Thankfully, it wasn't like that for me. I hit the back of my head. I had 2 7-millimeter hemorrhages in my right parietal lobe. Was the MRI results. I had a lot of balance issues. Never mind, just, dude, like, yeah, the first 2 months afterwards, I just sat in a chair and like was in and out of, I wouldn't say consciousness. I took a lot of little naps, slept all the time.
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, no phone, no TV, no visual stimulation. I was just barely reading books.
Like more dark room, kind of low.
I didn't. So talk
What do
to
you call it? Low stimulation.
Yeah, stimulation. But dude, didn't have a sensitivity to light. So talking to Richard and Ty Bangford, both of them had some pretty gnarly head injuries before me. And I'm like, what were your symptoms and stuff like that? And, more you and I talked as well. But I had a lot of balance issues. The bottom of my left foot was numb for like 9 months.
What? Wow. Okay.
I did some pretty intensive PT. I was doing PT for about 4 months for 3 days a week, which was all focused on balance. A lot of like close your eyes and stand on one leg, walk around. It was intense. Like 2-hour sessions of PT. So yeah, those first 6 months, like July to December, were a motherfucker, to say the least.
I bet, dude. I bet. It's something that none of us want to go through, man. Like, and what's crazy? Like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but my opinion of that is like, you can get one of those whether you're wearing an Arai, an AGV Pista, a KYT KX1, a Shoei X, whatever the hell. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
If you hit your head in the right spot, dude, like the helmet's doing its job if you didn't die, right? Basically.
And so speaking of that, because I want to come back, and I have to take into consideration, my wife, obviously my parents, my brother, my people, my boys, Richard and Nick and Anthony and Mike and the team, and our family here in Las Vegas, our greater motorcycle family here in Las Vegas, not to mention everybody else. So it's like,
right.
And thinking long and hard about where I'm going to go next, and I think I'm going to go back, and I haven't even tried them on, but just knowing what they're about and how they've developed, I'm going to go back to Arai.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what I want to do. So
okay.
But we both know it's about how the helmet fits, but Arai's fit me well. I mean, that's how I started. I think I own like 8 different now collector's editions Arais. I still have the Nakano helmet in my closet from when he raced Minolta Honda.
Wow.
Yeah, the Shuriken Nakano.
Like I'm more of the FIM helmets. Like I'm big time. I like the idea of the FIM helmets.
So do I. And actually, Angelique and I were talking about that yesterday. We were talking about helmets and talking about making a return, at least to like ARMA and some Utah SBA events, like repeating the endurance races specifically, because it's a little bit safer. But we're mitigating risk again. Like this happened on it during a track day in C group on somebody else's motorcycle.
Yeah.
I wasn't even racing. And so, but and I was wearing a piece of GPRR. I was wearing an FIM rated, and I had to explain that to Angelique.
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference?
You would have died. That's the difference.
Well, she's like, what's the difference between saying the Arai, whatever the RX7RR, whatever it is now, and the Pista, and I'm like, I think there's enough difference. I think that that the Arise technology is absolutely proven time and time again.
Yeah. Well, you saw that. I don't know if you saw this actually, but I had Hayden Gillum on. I think it was an episode of the Weekend Hangover last year, like right after he got back from World Superbike.
Oh, word. Okay.
And I think it was Most, right? Czech Republic. So he goes over there and he brought his Arai helmets from America. It goes to World Superbike weekend. He's got the custom Nicky helmets. He's the OWB guy. Dude, he goes over there and his helmets are not FIM. And World Superbike quarantined his non-FIM Arise. So he wore like the Jack in the Box white Arise instead. So it's just strange to me that the standard for those isn't a global thing. In America, they get the Snell helmets, and the Snell helmets, for whatever reason, are quite a bit heavier than the FIM helmets.
Yeah, it's because again, it's the American, the
American helmet is so the Snell dropped an anvil from
it's two impacts. They have to survive two impacts in the same spot.
Right.
Whereas everywhere else in the world, like especially with a motorcycle helmet, you're not going to impact that same spot again with the same amount of force in a crash. That's why they're heavier. But I mean, like for me personally, and I've had this conversation with a lot of different people.
Yeah.
The weight of the helmet, I'm not really worried about it.
I'm less worried about it than
I go to the gym.
Surviving the impact. That's
I go to the gym, strong neck.
Wow. Yeah, Snell, Martin's Life in a Hangar says Snell is geared more towards car drivers because they hit the roll cage multiple times,
And that's, just
that makes sense. That makes sense, I guess.
Just the American safety standards, are geared towards intelligence when it comes to it's fucking our consumer capitalists, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, you got to get a good one. Like, you don't want to wear a plastic shelled helmet, right? You've seen those $300 or less shits that you could get at Cycle Gear, right? Was it like $70? I'm like, dude, I wouldn't put a plant in that, dude.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, I've always spent money on helmets, and that's you had made mention like an hour ago that you always saw me different gear, different helmets. And I would chase sponsorship with certain companies. So I was a sponsored Schuberth rider for 5 years. And
I remember Schuberth, yeah.
Those helmets were legit. The SR1 was phenomenal.
I didn't like them. I don't know. I'm weird though. I'll try on a helmet, and if I don't like it, I'm like,
well, it's gonna
off my head. Like,
and that's the thing, right? And we both know this. If the helmet doesn't fit you, I don't care how pretty it is, what color it is, whose replica it is. If it doesn't fit your face, get a different one.
Yeah, regardless of how cool the graphics look, if the helmet sucks and if it doesn't fit, it's not going to work.
Yeah, what's that helmet company? They're like a snowboard helmet, and they build motorcycle like Ruroc or whatever.
Yeah.
They look like fucking special forces helmets. They look legit, but my dude, like,
no thanks, bro. No thanks.
I think we might have kicked someone out of one of our track days a couple of years ago for trying to wear one of those.
Really?
We're like, dude, you're
not. Doesn't
not
surprise me, dude. We see a lot of weird things at the track days, man. So,
dude, you're all your posts of will this pass tech on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
It's because we see it. It's not,
dude. Oh, dude, like the the improvised shift levers, the improvised clutch and brake levers, the end of a broom handle in the place of a clip-on. Oh, you haven't seen that?
You've definitely seen more than I have, but
the triple safety wired and RTV'd without the master link attached. Yeah.
Well, hey, what could go wrong? Hey, I got it.
Yeah.
Put the bike here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's been like that for years. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You haven't lubed it in years either.
or the, I mean, you know, the bike that was that had been in a fire, and the mechanics were really proud of themselves because they got it running, and they expected it to pass tech at a track day. And
Come
I was
on.
like,
Come on, dude.
I'm like, no, dude, sorry, it's not happening. So, yeah,
Hey.
but did they sign the waiver? Nice pull, Steve Bain. Nice pull.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Yeah. So, you know what, man? Like, we've lost a significant portion of the audience, Bill. So,
Oh no.
Yeah. But you know what, man? Like, I want you to give me like what the Bill Russell advice would be to a guy that's just starting club racing, is in the amateur ranks, and like give them advice on how to keep going, how to stay in the club racing scene.
Oh man. First and foremost, like, spend your money wisely. Dude, the tires are so good, and there's so many people that are racing pro or racing at a very high level in the paddock that you can run takeoffs, and they're good. The Dunlops are good. The Pirellis are good. You know, save money on tires, run takeoffs, be smart, talk to the tire guys, figure out what works and what doesn't work, and what
Would you recommend building a relationship with the tire guys?
Yeah.
Saying that as a tire guy myself.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and again, like I go way back with, you know, with Corey Newer and with Chris and you know, with CT Racing and the Pirelli boys. I mean, but you know, Dale Kiefer and I go back. I mean, he was one of the first dudes I met in Las Vegas when I moved here in 2015. Yeah, I mean, and not just a relationship with your tire guys, but you know, like get a good mentor as well, and don't put fucking money into the motorcycle to make it faster. Like the bike.
I mean, the classic one. There's a guy. I used to give Jimmy Wilson from Colorado shit about this because he came out, raced as a novice at Willow, and he rolls out to Willow as a novice with a GSXR 1000, and he had like JB power wheels. He had all the shit that was badass. Like his bike was badass, but he was an amateur racer, dude. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, I give you guys shit about it too, right? I was like, dude, spend your money on the tires. I'm not a big fan of the takeoffs. You know, Martin's Life in a Hangar says fuck takeoffs. You know, it's where he's at. Where he's at, nobody uses
on takeoffs for
nobody
my first
takes off
2 years as an expert. I lived.
The thing is, where he lives, where he's at, no one takes off the tires until they're already smoked. So that's a good point. But at the same time, when I started racing, same thing. It was like Dennis Smith would always have the tires from the tests that he would give us, and or you'd buy a new front and get a takeoff rear.
Well, so in that case, then especially with Pirelli, dude, get a set of SC3 slicks.
Yeah,
and then ride them the whole season or half the season. Like learn. It's just like go again. Like you got to go back and look at the people that came before us. Ayrton Senna and his father, when he was racing go-karts, they couldn't afford tires. They couldn't afford reins. Right. So he raced his go-kart in the rain on slicks. And look who he became, right? So learn to go fast on a set of endurance tires. Like learn what pressures to set. Learn how the tires are affected cold, when it's hot. What kind of bike do you have? Are you on a 600 or 750 1000? Are you on a twin? And then figure out what works for you. Put some SC3s on there and let it roll.
Well, again, that goes into talking to your tire guy too, right? Like when you build that relationship with the tire guy for years and years. I've known Chris McGuire for 25 years, right? Dude, that guy back in the day, like I could can you do Chris? Can you impersonate Chris? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Chris,
right?
Yeah. Chris was the reason I got all my shit back from Laguna after I crashed.
Yeah, yeah, he's a good dude. But that guy back in the day, he would set this up for me and be like, "Look, man, I've got like 4 6-lap rears. They're yours if you want them, but you got to buy a new front." I'm like, "Cool." So I would go in there, I would grab a couple of his 4-lap rears and buy a new front, and Bob's your uncle. I was racing,
But you
so.
only get that when you develop a relationship with somebody,
Yeah.
right?
You
And
can't
dude,
just walk up to dude off the street and be like, "Hey, bro, hook me up."
and then depending on, I mean, whether it's Bridgestone, Michelin, Dunlop, or Pirelli, like stick to it. Don't jump around. Like learn the
Yeah.
tire, learn the system. And then the biggest thing, dude, the biggest thing for an amateur rider is don't wish that you were faster. Don't wish that you were an expert before you get there.
Don't
Enjoy
force it.
My best racing experience was amateur racing. If you like, and if you stick with it too, especially if you make it past that 3-year marker, like all the people you were in NRS with, all the bros and sisses, all your people at the track that you end up meeting in that first season, whether you bump up that next year or you have to earn your stripes again another year, which isn't a bad deal. Like go slow to go fast.
Right.
Learn the process. Build up to it. Buy a slow bike and learn how to fucking wring that thing's neck and be the fast guy on a piece of shit. Don't I mean we watched it, especially in Arizona when we were doing desert road racing. This kid shows up with
Koala too, bro.
5 horsepower ZX10, like built to
Dude,
the
do we need to mention Dutch?
Dutch.
The guy from Colorado with the Graves R6 and the stack of tires.
I don't know.
You don't remember him?
Never heard of her.
The weed guy.
No.
Oh, you don't remember the guy that paid for tires in his Yeah.
It's either the head injury or I never knew the story. But yeah, dude, like when it comes right down to it, like spend your money wisely, have fun, enjoy the process as an amateur, and don't try to be someplace that you're not. Like if you have aspirations to be a Moto America Pro AMA road racer, then you have to work on the fundamentals. You got to learn the basics and invest in yourself. Find a good coach. Sign up with YCRS. Sign up with California Superbike. Sign up with, if you're in SoCal, like get with, JP43 training. Find a good coach. Find a good mentor. I mean, thankfully I have some like really, really awesome success stories of dudes that came and found me and been like, "Hey, will you be that guy for me?" And Charles Silver, got to give him a shout out. Like expert racer, like podium contender wherever he goes in the club racing scene. He's a coach with Break Free Track Time out of Phoenix. Like watching him blossom as a racer and like hit all the markers, do all the right things, spend money wisely. And he's like fucking 55 years old. Dude's had more metal in his body than I think he cares to admit. But dude, he's done it the right way.
Well, how about this? How about what advice would you give to somebody who they've been a season as amateur, they're finishing consistent top 5, may not have gotten a win yet, and into the season comes and they're being told to promote to expert. What's the advice you give to that guy? Do you tell them to try to fight to stay amateur another year, or do you say stop being a pussy, turn the sand back in? And
so, at risk of maybe making some people upset, in the eternal words of Brian Short, winning an amateur championship is like winning the gold medal in the Special Olympics. It's like, do you want to be that guy or that girl? Like, hey, listen, people spend their money however they want. Go out and do you. If your goal is to win an amateur championship, well, guess what? Your homie who's finishing in the top 5, you're finishing in the top 3. The dude that's finishing in the top 5 is bumped to expert next year. And by the time you get there, after you win your amateur championship, he's going to be dusting your ass. There is no there is no replacement for experience. And if you got the chops, and the same thing you told me, Dustin, dude, if you're on the podium as an amateur, you're coming out to Chuckwalla, like bump to expert. I learned more that first season going toe to toe, wheel to wheel with Ryan Whitman that whole season for like 3 seasons.
You're right.
Battling it out, dude, for the, in the top 10, and then finally slowly working our way up to the top 5. 600, and then in the 1000 class.
Yeah, the experters, man.
Dude, Jesus, like we have stories, but as we all heard, but
so you're saying bump,
dude. Like why would you want to stick around? And especially like again, like no offense to any amateurs, but that next year you don't know who's coming in. You don't know.
You're not learning anything. That's the thing for me. It's like you're not learning anything at that point. You're a top 5 guy already. Like, what the fuck else are you going to learn as an amateur racing against the same guys that are still amateur?
Especially, you get someone who wasn't there the year before. They get fast midway through the season, and they're right there. You don't want to be around them, but they're climbing up your rear wheel every single corner. Where when you're racing expert, even the back markers, like those dudes are clean, they're consistent, and they're gonna put a pass on you that you would never ever imagine. They're gonna fucking show you something that you only dreamed about.
Right.
You're gonna take that, like getting passed on the outside of turn 8 into turn 9.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Both ways.
Yeah. That's the move, right?
I did that to I think I did that to Manny Segura going counterclockwise.
Yeah, I mean, I still have the memory of doing that to Deep Rap. So
that's a great story, dude. That's a great.
I mean, right?
Rapper's wild, man.
Yeah, Rapper was like, dude, that was a pretty good pass, and then Richard was like, yeah, he's a puss on the brakes. Totally crushed my whole moment,
Richard, nobody asked you.
No, it's all right. You expect that.
Hey, he calls.
You gotta expect that from that guy, but
without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, Bill, dude, we're just like we said, it was over 2. We lost the audience though, so it's like
it's not about them; it's about us. And
I know.
And there's so much still, man. There's so much.
Still. Oh, dude, like we could do a part 2 at some point. Jeez. So let's wrap this thing. Like, who do you want to thank besides your wife? Do you want to shout out, thank, whatever?
Yeah, I want to thank. Like, I mean, we talked a lot about my history. Like everybody through this whole thing, Doc Lemire, all the OG Vermont Bike Night guys, like Tim Bima, Mike Cornbread, Tyler DC, dude, I already gave a shout out to Charles, but Charles Silver, Jason Citron, Philly Joyce, the Break Free / Desert Road Racing crew down in Phoenix. Honestly, like I wouldn't be like anywhere near the road racer or coach that I am without Roger Heemsbergen and all the cats down at Arroyo Seco, those crazy sons of bitches. Jason Brown, Sebastian Musewicz, buffering, trying to remember names, but you all know who you are.
Everybody, cool.
And then, dude, but like first, like, and the best for last. I mean, Dustin Coiner, as and the Trackdays crew, like a lot of great memories with you guys, and learned a lot. But dude, Richard Finley, Travis, and the Apex Assassins team. I mean, we have put together seriously something super special. Where it's all the same people that started it, and I can't believe it. I can't believe where we're at. I can't believe the successes that we've had, and I'm really looking forward to what the future holds. We're doing the thing, man.
When's the next time you get to ride?
September. It's going to be.
Wow, September. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we got our Las Vegas event. So I already got a client. So I got a coaching a new rider here in town. Older guy. really, really good dude. Just bought his first track bikes. He's on a K7 Gixxer 600.
Okay.
Yeah,
and what's your bike? What are you coming back on?
2001 Gixxer 1000.
Oh, the Silver Fox.
Silver Cloud, the old girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I've got a track day next month on the 19th, and then I've got a track weekend, the traditional August heater. So I've got that going for me. So that's cool.
I definitely got to make it out to one of your events.
You definitely need to, man. You know a guy. Give me a call. Like whatever.
Like October, November.
Dude, I think we've got the first weekend of October at Podium Club. What?
I do. That track's legit.
It is. I love Podium Club.
You and I have.
Dude, I saw John Mabry in the comments.
Come on.
Yeah, dude. The manager from Podium Club is watching this crap.
dude, John and I go back.
Yeah.
John and I go back.
Oh man.
What a guy.
Yeah. So, we've got a busy schedule, bro. You don't got to wait till September to ride is what I'm pointing out to you.
Yeah.
Really quick too. I mean, we're trying to wrap this thing up. So just make sure everybody, thank you guys for watching this thing and putting up with me and Bill giving war stories about whatever, buffering. And if you like this, let us know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. Mash all the buttons, like, subscribe, and share, and comment, and all that jazz. And buy some merch, man, like this hat, right? So, yeah, you got to buy a hat or a shirt or a set of rear sets or something. So hit up the Trackday store. Other than that, Bill, I'm gonna give you the final words there, buddy.
Buffering.
You're buffering? Okay, cool.
Dude, have fun, go fast, love each other, and don't stop. Whatever you're doing, don't fucking stop doing it.
Well, right on, Bill. Appreciate you being on the show, buddy, and we'll catch everybody on the next one.